Hello, this is Tammy with Autistic Wiki, and I thought it would be a good idea to revisit what Autistic Wiki is all about, what my plans are for it, where we're going with it, that sort of thing. Because in the last couple of weeks here, I've been thinking about it, whether I want to keep it going or whether I want to make, what do I want to do with this? I have a lot of web spaces that I purchase and then never do anything with. So it's one of my interests is web um, working with websites and some people collect stamps. I collect websites. I have way too many of them and I don't keep them up, and so that's my problem. So I was thinking, I got to start getting rid of the ones that I'm not using. Which ones am I actually going to do something with, and that sort of thing. So I was thinking about Autistic Wiki, and yeah, I do want to keep it going, even though I definitely need to take a new direction with it, and think about more what really I want to do with this thing. When I first started a few years ago, I guess it's been online now. The idea was what started the idea with Autistic Wiki was when I first started looking for information about autism. This was before I was officially diagnosed, and I was just kind of looking for information and doing my own research. And pretty much all of the information that I found had a tendency to link back to Autism Speaks, which I'm definitely not a fan of Autism Speaks. I know everybody's got very strong opinions about them. I know for some people, they've gotten some useful things out of them, but overall, in spite of the fact that sometimes they've done good things for people, overall their general thinking and their basic means for existing, I guess, is that they're looking for really eradication. They're looking to get rid of autism and kind of get the autism out of the people, because they really believe that autism destroys families and destroys people, and the people that are living that have autism are just really less than human, and they've got some pretty dark ideas. If you look over their marketing materials and the videos they've made over the years, it's pretty dark stuff. They really take a negative view towards autism and towards autistic people, which is really a shame. But because the owners of it, they have had a lot of connections to to TV and marketing and whatnot. They really knew how to get it out there, how to really be the leader as far as who if like a news organization or somebody's looking for information, they really learned how to be the one that people go to for. They became the subject experts essentially, and they didn't. It was parents and grandparents of autistics were speaking on behalf of autistics, but they didn't really have autistics speaking on their own behalf, because they apparently seem to think that they can explain it better than an autistic person could. They were the voice of autism instead of letting actual autistics be their own voice, things like that. So I was thinking, well, one of the reasons for that is because they have all of the information right now. They were really good about being the information source. So of course, when you go searching for autism, their name comes up. So you go follow the link to their page. The way analytics and whatnot work is the more people that go to your page, the more your page becomes valuable and a trusted source, I guess. And then that kind of creates this constant loop where you're considered a more reliable source. So people keep going back to your page, and you start getting more and more links to your page, and you just, through the organic process of links and whatnot, they became the primary source of information for all things autistic. So I thought, well, instead of complaining about it, instead of bitching about it, because they are what they are, and they kind of built it, if you will, fairly, more or less, as far as things go. So I thought, well, instead of complaining about it, what we really should do is just build our own. You can't just sit around and say, well, um, the media should be reaching out to us when they have a question. Well, who's us? They can't just reach out to a random person that they don't know. They have to have a way of looking for information and looking for people, and if you don't have something set up where they can find you, they're not going to find you. I mean, you can only expect them to make so much effort to find you, So I was thinking that we should have our own space, and that was kind of where the idea of Autistic Wiki came. Was we would create our own space, we would create our own wiki where we could control the information. We could link to the good researchers, the ones that were doing good work. We would link to, we would call out the people that were not doing good work for us and explain why in a fair way. It wasn't about, creating a fight or this back and forth. It was just, this from our perspective, and, looking at facts as well. These are the people who are doing good work for autistics. These are the people who are not doing good work, and these are the reasons why. So backing everything up with facts is not just, like it wasn't intended to be like a place to, fight anybody or create division. Just, this is as far as the community is concerned, these are our words, and these are what we think about these particular organizations. And Autism Speaks is only one of many organizations out there that often claim to work on behalf of autistics, but have little or no interest in actually helping autistics. So I thought, well, this would be a good thing for us to do. We would have the wiki that we could put up. We would have like a section for, news coming up and research and stuff like that. Have a section of people who were willing to speak to the media if the media was looking for, when you sometimes they need their token autistic, especially during April, somebody to talk to, and like the authors and whatnot, if they wanted to participate, they wanted, they're open to being contacted. So we would have, our community. It would be a community of primarily autistics, also people who are autism friendly, who understand us, even if they aren't specifically autistic themselves. I think Steve Silberman is probably a good example of that. And then, just like family too, people who are autism friendly could interact, but it would be obvious that they are not speaking on behalf of autistics. Autistics speak for themselves. We're all human beings, and we all have the ability to, whether we're speaking out loud or through another method of communication, we have a right to speak on our own behalf. So it was a place where we would get to speak, and it would be obvious that it was us speaking instead of something like Autism Speaks, where it's actually non-autistic people speaking on our behalf and often talking over us. Um, so that was the original idea of everything, and for the most part, I'm still like that as an idea because I think it's something important that we do need in the community. I think it's still a needed thing because I haven't really seen anybody else yet really take off with that idea and do it better. You know, better something else. If somebody else did it better, then I'd be like, okay, you did it better, and um, that looks like a lot of work. So I'm just gonna, back out and let you do this. I haven't seen anybody do a better job of it yet, and I still think it's a needed thing. So I still am thinking that I want to do that. The problem comes in with as far as making an autistic space for the community. Here's where you get into issues with trying to make everybody happy, which is impossible. And here's where I come into an issue because I have my own attitude. I have my own limits, and so some of the issues I've had with Autistic Wiki up until this point, and which has really kind of hindered me and kind of held me back from doing more work with it was um, there's certain pockets of people in the autistic community, and you'll get to know these people really quick once you spend a little bit of time online. So there's the first one that's, and these are more or less my pet peeves. So let's, this is pretty much what we're going for right now. One of the first ones you'll find is the warrior mothers, sometimes fathers, but it's almost always mothers. These people annoy me. These people are usually very heavily aligned with Autism Speaks. Because they are fighting, as far as they're concerned, they're fighting a war that is inside their child. Um, and they just see everything as a war, and their entire life is, kind of, it's kind of this culture of, look at me, look at this. I'm doing such a good job of fighting this war every day. Kind of give me a pat on the back for being such a good mother and putting up with this autistic kid. And I don't think a lot of times they realize that they're saying things like that, but that is what they're saying. When they make comments about how they hate the autism, oh, I love my kid, but I hate the autism, but that's a big part of what makes your kid who he is. So, it's kind of, you have to understand that, if like you get divorced and you're talking to your kid and you're like, oh, I hate your father, he's a piece of shit, and you remind me of him sometimes. Well, your child is half you, half the dad. So when you're talking about your dad is a piece of shit, you're saying that one half of you is a piece of shit, and you can't take that away. You can't separate those two. You can't say that, one half, you're a good kid even though your dad is a piece of shit. Especially when it's a child, you can't separate those two. And it's very similar with the autism when you're talking about kids, is especially when you're talking about kids. But I'm 48, and when I still hear that shit, it man, it ticks me off because it's like it's it's a part of who you are. It's a big part of what creates your personality and everything about you. So if you somehow took away the autism, you would have an entirely different person. And so you really can't say I hate the autism, because without it, you have no idea what you would have there. As a mother, you'd be like, oh, I love my kid no matter what. Okay, well, then why don't love them with the autism? Stop trying to take that part out of them, because you can't. First of all, you can't take it out. And like I said, if you did, you have somebody entirely different, and somebody that might not be very pleasant. There's a lot of things about autism that are kind of make you a good person, and without it, you might not be very good. I mean, as a parent, you probably still love your child somewhat, but I think people really need to be careful with that whole warrior thing, and that's a huge pet peeve of mine when I see people out there um, doing the warrior thing of what a great person I am for fighting this war on my child's behalf. And these people are all often the same ones who I'm the voice of my child. You know, they don't think that their child can speak, even if their child is able to speak. They believe they are the voice for their child. So things like that really get to me. So I thought, well, I don't want to create a space where these people are welcome, because I really don't want to be putting up with that shit all day. Then the other faction that started really getting on my nerves was the I don't know, would you call it the social justice warrior, the disability warriors, the the people. It's mostly disability warriors, and these were people who just they managed to be pissed off and angry and insulted by fucking everything. And here too, man, I can't put up with that shit every day. So I don't want to invite these people in. And on the one hand, like I there's partly you're doing a good thing, but you're taking it way too far. So yes, it is important to be aware of the words that we use and what they mean. And on the one hand, it's a good thing to learn not to walk around calling everybody a retard, because it's insulting to people who are retards. But then on the same thing, I'm old enough to remember that when I was a little kid, we went through lots of different words for it. It was at one point it was retard. At one point it was slow. At one point it was intellectually disabled. It changed to, I don't even know what it is anymore. I mean, the words kept changing, but it didn't stop the fact that if somebody, you can still use that same word to insult somebody, and it doesn't change the fact that just like I remember when it changed to intellectual disability or something like that, I was like, why are we saying this? Why do we have a new word now? And it's like, oh, so that the people with this issue, or because it's insulting to call them retarded, so we're going to call them intellectually disabled now. Well, why is one insulting and not the other when they mean the same thing? How does that mean anything? Because you can still, and exactly what happened is people just started using an intellectually disabled and slow and all the other words. So policing words almost never has the effect that people are looking for. By making people stop using retard, it doesn't take away, it doesn't make you automatically, it doesn't take away the hurt feelings that somebody who does have retardation, that they're getting joked about and stuff like that. None of that's going away just because you're word policing people. So it's like your heart's in the right place, but your method of doing it is not getting the result that you're looking for. So this is a big reason, and I see this a lot with what I call the disability warriors. It happened, I think last year was the year before, with the walk in red. That was one of the things that I started doing. A lot of other people started doing during April, was instead of lighting up blue, we were doing walk in red. Well, then out of the blue, all of a sudden I find out walk in red is insulting and ableist, because it's insulting to people who are in a wheelchair. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, shit like that I can't do, man. I can't do it. If you're looking for something in every little thing to be an insult, and I can't. I can't have somebody like that. I can't be watching literally every word that comes out of my mouth, because somehow, some way, if you search through the etymology far enough, you can somehow, some way find a way that it's insulting to somebody out there. So the whole ableism thing, the whole every little word, every little thing that you say is insulting to somebody. I can't do that. I don't want to make a space that's, I can't make a space that says everyone's welcome or the whole autism community is welcome and then be putting up with that shit. I can't be, walking on eggshells. I don't do well in a short leash. So it's it's this thing where it's not that I'm insensitive or that I don't care, that's not it. It's just that I think that there are limits, reasonable limits, and I think that stuff like that, you're just getting unreasonable. There, and I know people, oh, so you think somebody who's in a wheelchair it's unreasonable to be respectful to them? No, that's not what I said, but I think it's unreasonable to find every little thing offensive. And I think, I don't know, I someday maybe I'll do a longer rant on that because we're already at 20 minutes, but that's just something I can't do. Stuff like that annoys me so much. So I mean, there's lots of different warriors out there, warrior groups within the autistic community, within the disability community. And I started realizing that I can't make a space that I'm claiming is for the whole community, because I just can't put up with these people. I can't. I'm telling you right now, I can't. Thank God you've already got your other spaces on the internet, because I can't deal with it. So then I started realizing that, okay, well, Autistic Wiki, it can be kind of maybe for the rest of us. Then then I was thinking, well, maybe it's for the rest of us. So it's not PC. I'm not gonna. I can't do trigger warnings at the start of everything I post. I can't do these huge long things in front of every picture saying that what the picture is, and it's nice for the people who do that. It's something that I can't do. I can't worry about every little thing that I say. When I talk about autism, I say retard, and I use it intentionally because it's a word that gets used. It's used towards autistics, and it was used towards me, and I was called retard when I was a little kid. And when I was little, they took me to a doctor, and they couldn't figure out why I wasn't talking and stuff like that. And this was early 70s, and doctor didn't really know what was going on, and he's like, I don't know, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's probably just a little retarded. Maybe she'll grow out of it. Well, obviously you don't grow out of retardation, but when I was little, they did think that I was retarded because they didn't know what else was going on with me. There was obviously something going on with me. So I did. I got called retard. I still get called retard by people who don't know that I'm autistic, but just, people say it. So I use that word because by saying the R word or by saying a different word, I don't know. To me, it's just not intellectually honest. I mean, I think if we're going to be honest about this stuff and make a change in the world, say the word. You got to be able to face it and say it and put a name to it and call it out. And if you're dancing around words and being so careful with everything, then I think you're probably just hiding from the problem instead of actually addressing the problem. And that's kind of how I look at things. Trying to make people not say the R word, I don't think fixes anything. Making people understand by talking about it and using the R word and talking about what it felt like when I heard people talking about me and saying that I was retarded, because I heard people talking about me saying, oh, what's going on with her? Oh, she's retarded. And I'm like, what? Huh? I'm retarded? So, like, if I'm describing that, it has much more effect if I'm explaining it like that than if I said, oh, I heard them talking about me that I was intellectually disabled. You know, it's not the same. Like if I talk about it using the words that happened in that time, it makes more sense, and I think it has more impact, and I think that people can um, identify with it and maybe have a reaction that touches them and makes them feel something and care about something. I think. And if not, it's just the way I talk, and I need to be me. So and I'm sorry I'm going on forever, but I mean you could have shut this off a long time ago, so it's on you really. So what I'm going with is I really think that Autistic Wiki is going to be essentially, you know, my space where I talk about autism, and I talk about the community and the things that I see going on, my opinionated little mind and what I think, and you know, I think the rest of us, the ones who are not those warrior types, those people who have something else that I need to, who are not worries and need a place to go. I think maybe this, I'm thinking maybe this is going to be a place for us. Um, I don't want to build it as a bitching ground. Like I don't want this to be a place where you come and you're like, oh, and you just spend all day bitching about the Warriors. Like that's not my goal, because I just don't want it to be like I don't want it to be a bitching ground. That's boring. But I need to talk about it so that it's obvious of what my headspace is and what I'm thinking about it to be. So I think it's important to talk about what I think of as far as the warrior groups go. I just don't want my website to be a place where people just come to bitch about it. You know, you can discuss it reasonably, but I don't want it to be. I don't want the goal of this space to be, you know, let's go over to Autistic Wiki and bitch about the mother group, and yeah, that's boring. That doesn't help anybody, and yeah, create a group on Facebook. That's a better format for you. So all right, well, at the goal of keeping this under 30, and it's already at 27 minutes. So if you held out this long, I don't know, there's either something wrong with you or, but thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so that is all. Thank you for watching, and going forward, I'll try to make some videos that are a little bit more useful for us. Thank you.